time, and we'll move on to something where you're a bit more of an expert, which is the NFL. And I think you can run through some of the highlights. And I've seen some of this online, and I'll throw in my opinion where I can. And so, should we start with the most media frenzy one, which was Tyreek Hill being arrested? Thoughts?
Yeah, so this was bad because there was a lot of videos that came out from it. So I saw the video. So there's a video of you can see a video of the police before they arrest him, and you
Yeah.
can you can see him coming past, and
Oh,
he
I've
is
not seen that.
going
I've
quick.
seen them arrest him. I've seen them pull him out
No,
the car.
there's one where like they're on their bikes, and you can see how long it takes them to like catch up to him and stuff. So he is obviously
Is he
speeding.
booking
He's
it?
obviously
Like he's
going
going
quick.
quick. Fair enough. I've not seen
And
that.
he's
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
speeding. So I can understand why they've pulled him over, but you don't need to do the rest of it. Like, just pull him over, give him a ticket, and be like, go slower next time, and just go. Like,
Yeah.
be like, at the end of the day, it was in there. So the game was at Miami. So
Mm.
Tyreek plays for Miami Dolphins. It was in Miami. So those cops
Would have
know
known.
who he is, know they've got a game that day. So just let him go.
Yeah.
Like it's very like this whole thing is very American
Yeah.
because like
This happened.
obviously
Do you watch? I don't. You and I aren't really into golf, but didn't it happen to a golfer like a couple months ago where he thought the police were waving him on, and so he drove around them, and they like
I'm not
pulled
sure.
him out of the car. It happened to a golfer as well, but very American, where they're like, this person is a secure, like, he thought it was just security, he didn't realize it was police, and he was
Yeah,
like, I'm playing, I've got to go and tee up, and they're like,
yeah, like let me go, get off me.
yeah, and so I think it's the same thing. But when you see that footage, where I think that the Miami Dolphins lawyers turn up, basically some big fellas in in suits turn up, and he's like waving goodbye at the police officers, and they're sort of stood all together, and I think their cogs are turning, thinking this is going to be
Yeah,
bigger than just one
it's gonna be
arrest.
bad.
Yeah,
Like they were just obviously the light bulb switched. They were like,
yeah.
we shouldn't have done that.
I think it was just big
It was
egos,
it was
egos on
yeah.
both sides.
It was just like because there's a thing where you can see a video. You can see the video where he says, Tyreek says like, "This is because I'm black,"
Yeah.
and then they say, "Oh, we're not white because they're like
Mm.
they're like Caucasian or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
however you want to put it." Um, so obviously, like Tyreek's thinking it's a race thing. They're just trying to do their job, but it was all just like the whole thing of American cops is like they're meant to like de-escalate, but they never seem to. They always seem to escalate things. It's just like a power trip.
Yeah.
Like they have like the power. They in that moment like they're like God. Like
Yeah.
they can do what they want. Like and you can't do anything to stop them, sort of thing. Like and obviously like they got him out of the because it was like I think he wasn't really responding to them. Like
I think he passed his
he
details
put
out and then
his
like put his window back up, didn't he?
yeah, then he put his window back up and they were like, no, keep it down. And then he just didn't get it down. So I can kind of understand that in a little sense of like, that's
Both
why they got
I think
maybe
both
annoyed.
escalated it. Both were
Yeah, they're
annoying.
like,
It was just
obviously he doesn't help,
yeah. He's a
but
superstar and they want to be superstars. And so that is just two trains on one track, and I think we'll
yeah.
we'll, we'll move on from there because we're going to get to the deep leveled layers of
Yeah, we don't want to get
American
into all the
police
racial stuff. All
politics.
that
I think
stuff. No,
that's not for
but it
us.
wasn't a great look
No.
for the NFL and all that stuff
I think for
and
anyone.
Miami in general.
Yeah, I think
So
everyone was a loser in that situation. I think it's just
yeah,
like I did see where he was doing some backtracking where he was like, I was super cooperative, I don't know what they were on about, and then they released
then the video comes out.
they
And you
released
can
their
see
footage, and he was
it.
like, oh well, maybe I didn't put my word, and it's always like he says, she says he and he says in this regards, but it was just an unnecessary
Yeah, it
aggro
just
from
didn't need
both
to happen.
sides. Yeah,
Like all he needs to do, all the police needs to do is be like, "Oh crap, this is Tyreek Hill. Right, don't go slower next time. Here's your ticket. Go to the game. That's
yeah,
it. Just give him a ticket. It's not like he's going to care about a ticket. Like he earns like 35 million a year or 34 million, whatever it is.
but do you think it would have
So
de-escalated that? All right, here, yeah, police officers are like, slow down, I know who you are, this is you're rushing, you're going to a game, here's your ticket, and from the behavior I saw of it, he was like, I'm the king of this city, and he is the king of the city. I don't like disagree that he's a superstar in his own right to that
Yeah,
bad beyond anyone. But do you think he
obviously
would have
he
taken
doesn't
that
help.
ticket and been like, "Thank you very much"? He'd have been like, "Yeah, fuck." He would have. I think, and
Yeah, he
then
wouldn't have
they
been
would have
happy
liked
about
what
it.
he said. It was always, I think it was an inevitable clash, and yeah. But anyway, that's press pause. What's the next one? What's the next thing we're covering with the NFL?
So I think the other thing was Dak Prescott signing a $140 million dollar deal. I think it's 140 million. Yeah, so it was like it's 40. It's basically no,
So
it's not
240.
240. I think because
A
it's
lot of
yeah
money.
240 million. Yeah, sorry, it's 240 million a year because it's 60 million a year for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes him the highest paid player in the NFL. Makes him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Quarterback's obviously a very important position, and it makes him, like I said, the highest paid when he is maybe just top 10. Like he's on like the fringes of top 10. But the way these contracts work is it's kind of like the next one up is gets the most.
Yeah.
So it's not always the best because the best QB is Patrick Mahomes, and he has like a 10-year contract
So you
where
can't
it's
get
like
more money.
it's like
Yeah.
spread out. It's like all spread out to make it better for the team because the cap and stuff like that. But yeah, so he's got that. But it's because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys, who are the biggest franchise in NFL. They're very much like the owner is very much like wants the Dallas Cowboys to be on the media centric sort of thing. Like he wants everything to be about the Dallas Cowboys, even if it's not them winning.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I want to talk about this is because he's done it at a stupid time because he could have done it months ago
Mm-hmm.
because there's like 4 other QBs that have got paid before him this off season.
I have a
So
question. When you say he's stupid, you mean the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, not the guy who signed the deal?
yeah, Jerry
Okay,
Jones.
just clarifying. I might,
Yeah,
that
the
might be
owner,
obvious,
Jerry
but I
Jones.
think I wasn't paying
So
attention. I
sorry, the owner, because basically the way it works is, like I said, it's usually like the next QB up just gets the
Yeah.
most. So Jared Goff plays for Detroit Lions. He's a QB. He got paid this offseason like 52 million. Trevor Lawrence got 57 million. Someone Tua got paid as well, but I'm not sure he got the most. But someone else got, I can't remember the other person, but someone else got another big load. And basically, what it meant was it kept going up. The price kept going up for Dak Prescott for the QB, for him to sign in this contract.
Yeah.
So it just made no sense for them to do it this late in the off season. But it's interesting anyway, just because it's the NFL. It just like
We discuss it with football, don't we? When someone gets like Saudi money is obviously the money that we talk about the most for people's deals, but it's interesting because it changes the face of the sport of like when you start getting these silly amounts of money, you sort of, I guess these clubs need to earn that money, and it's all about licensing and will they like earn it back from shirt sales and stuff. But it's interesting to know. I did not know that it was about like whoever's up, like whoever's turn it is gets the money. It's not like,
obviously you still got to be
good.
like up there.
So like you, you're the last man to kick a ball.
It's not like just like the next QBs, but like it's usually like the top 10, whoever's like top 10, because there's like if you have like a franchise QB, which means like that's your QB for like hopefully the next 5-10 years. Generally they'll be good. And generally, when they get their new contract, because when they come in, they're on like a rookie contract for like 4 years, and it's like low money, which is still like 20 million, or it's still like I think over like 4 years, it'll still be like 30 million for that 4
But
years.
those people have still made it.
It's not peanuts.
I've seen some TikToks of like people who are. So I watched a video about this, or maybe you explained it to me, or someone explained it to me. Like maybe I read it. I saw a TikTok about it where it was explaining because there's like this Welsh guy who used to be a rugby player who's now gone over to the NFL.
Yeah, Zenit, something like that.
Yeah, but they explain the structure. Like you have your 52-man squad, but you can also have a training squad. So you can technically have a much bigger squad, but your training squad are held on very loose contracts, so you can just get cut. And
you can just cut them. Yeah,
those people don't get paid really any money because they're there waiting for their chance. And it was really interesting. I don't know why they just come up occasionally on my TikTok where it's like I'm barely like they play for a big team, but they don't get paid that much. And even if they get some money because of sponsors or whatever, they've got to have a whole team. You've got to like is that there's a lot of uprooting that doesn't get like accounted for, and so it's interesting. So for someone who doesn't watch it, it's like it shows a very unique side to it. But yeah. But who's the big rivalry? So obviously, like when we talked about football earlier, you said Man United and Liverpool, obviously classic sort of rivalry. And now you got Tottenham and Arsenal and those sort of ones, and there are some other ones to name. But for NFL, who's the Man United Liverpool? You know.
So at the moment, the two best teams are Kansas City and 49ers, and they're in. So the way it works is there's two conferences. So there's the NFC and the AFC, and Kansas City in the AFC, San Francisco 49ers in the NFC, and then there's four different like we'd call it like groups in those conferences, like kind of like mini leagues sort of thing. It's confusing. I'll explain it.
You need a graph. There needs to be some pictures.
Yeah. I'll explain it on our next podcast or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, at the moment it's probably they're not really like traditional rivalry in the sense of history, but they've gone up against each other so they've gone up against each other in the Super Bowl last year. They lost in 2019. They lost the Kansas City Chiefs, so they've like lost a couple of Super Bowls recently to the Kansas City Chiefs, like the 49ers. So I'd say that not in a sense of like traditional history rivalry, but just the fact that they've lost recently.
There's more. Yeah, is the Kansas people? Is that Taylor Swift's boyfriend?
Yeah, Travis Kelce. Yeah,
that's that too. Yeah,
yeah.
That is my encumbrance of my American football knowledge.
Yeah, so Travis Kelce is the one. He's tight end. He dates Taylor Swift, and
top band.
Like me and Lydia love them, obviously. And we watch the Kelce brothers podcast, New Heights. So that's roughly how we kind of got into it. NFL, like I got into it first, and then like Lydia started.
You brainwashed her.
I started watching it, and then like we started watching these podcasts and stuff like that. And I was watching loads of YouTube on like Undisputed, Shannon Sharp, loads of people who like NFL analysts, and that's how I got into it. But yeah, it's very good. And the other big rival I'd say is probably maybe like Dallas Cowboys, Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles. They hate each other, and they're both quite good. So they always play each other as well. So, well, I'd say always, but usually the schedule gets determined by the league. It's not like they all play each other every year. So it's a bit different in that sense because they have their own like I said, they have their own like little
leagues and then
of
they
like
play a bigger league if you win.
Yeah, so they have like 4 teams and they always play each other each year. I think it's twice, and then they play other people in the other conferences. Mm-hmm. It's a bit complicated for like.
And the next one we will get some charts.
Yeah, I'll explain it a bit better because it's.
No, I think you explained it well. But to see it visually, like with the logos and stuff, and then I can ask you some questions about those. It'd be good to learn some more. But then we'll move on to the last thing about the NFL that we're discussing. I think today was about. I'm not even going to try and say his name. You can attempt it, but suffered another concussion. What was the guy's name?
Oh, Tua Tagovailoa or something like that. Sorry, it's really good.
It is a tough name, eh?
I'm terrible.
It was good effort. I think you did it right fine the first time.
But yeah, so this was against the Bills. So it was on Friday night. He was going for the first down, and this is the thing with QBs. The QBs are so valuable because they're the one that touches the ball every play. And he basically ran, and he should have basically. You can slide, so like basically like we go for like slide tackle or whatever. You can slide, and they can't touch you as you're going down. If they hit you as you're going down, there'll be a big penalty and like whatever, and they'll get like 15-yard penalty or something like that. But he didn't slide, and he went into the player. And as he's going into the player, you see his head like kind of like jolt kind of thing. and like it's like his helmet goes against on his arm, and it just like his head, like it looks like he's almost like broke his neck sort of thing. But he's on the floor and he's like convulsing, like you can see him literally, like, his arms are up like this, and like he's literally like that. Like, it's horrible. But this is his third concussion.
There's
So
got to be a limit. Is that like you mean in like the same season, or do you mean like in his
no, it's like
career?
over the last like 3 years.
I still don't think that's medically advised.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like each
Not the
time
one.
each time it's getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of discussion in America on the analysis and all like ESPN and stuff about should he retire, should he not, should he keep playing, and like they have some ex players saying like, oh, it's completely up to him, and then you've got some other analysts that weren't players saying no, like
Health
life
and safety crew.
yeah, like
stuff.
your
What
life
about
is
the hats
more
then?
important.
Do you think if he was wearing that
The
angel
Guardian
cap,
helmet. The Guardian helmet probably would help because it's
padding for the brain?
it's about the contact with his head. So and like this whole thing with like CTE. I don't know the actual what it like medical terms for it, but it's basically like sort of similar things like dementia, causes bad Alzheimer's, kind of in that kind of realm. I don't know the medical terms for it and all that stuff, but it's like obviously like American football is a very dangerous sport in general because it's like it was a lot worse back in the day because they could hit each other a lot more, but it was just like it's a bad image for NFL because
no one wants to see anyone falsing on.
No one wants to see that. No one wants to see that. It's the third time, so it's like at this point, it's like, where do you go? Like, does he retire? Does he keep playing? And the issue is as well for Miami is they just signed him to a 4-year contract or 3-year. They just signed to a long-term contract basically. They gave him, I think it's 97 million guaranteed. So like he could walk away and still get that 97 million. But
surely he's got like fulfill his term.
No. It's guaranteed. Like so it's like the way these contracts work is like over the years. So like this year, his first year he'll get, I don't know how much, but he could be like guaranteed like 20 million of that, and then the other million gets in like bonuses and stuff, or get like targets. They get like, so like if he gets like over 4,000 yards, there'll be something in there.
That's quite common, yeah.
But the way they work is like part of that is guaranteed because it's such a dangerous sport. So literally, like I said, he could walk away and he'll get that 97 million over the next 4 years.
But he probably doesn't want to. He's a player, like he's, you know.
Yeah, he won't want to. He won't want to because a lot of these players are a lot of them went to college, but they only went to college. College is like our uni, but they probably only went for like a year, so they don't have the actual degree. A lot of them, they are obviously very smart, but they don't know anything out of football.
Yeah, but surely if say I get injured as an English football player, or I crash my car and I get in an accident where I can't drive anymore, like a lot of these people, even if they're not successful, let's just like take away the injury part, a lot of them go on to do job related if they become media personalities or like not physios, because obviously that's a whole thing, but you know what I mean, like they become assistant coaches, they become coaches. Like, is this player good enough where he can like transfer his knowledge and skills? Like, is that something how he can fulfill his agreement almost?
Probably. Like, obviously, like he could obviously be a coach in the background potentially, but a lot of it is like with NFL, it's like once you're out kind of thing. It's hard to get back in because there's so many players coming in, and it's a lot of these players have a fear of like when I retire, whatever, what am I going to do? Because it's like in any sport, it's like if you've been doing that sport for 20 years, that's the only thing you've known for that 20 years, 15 years, however long it is. NFL is quite short as well because they come in so late, because obviously in America, it's like the youngest I think they can come in is like 21, 22. And some of them come in like 25, 26. And they only, because it's such a dangerous sport, they only last maybe like 7, 8, 9, 10 years if they're lucky. Some of them do like 12, like Tom Brady did like 20. But like it's a short window sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for them because you don't know what to do afterwards. Like obviously, like for us, we'll be like, well, you've got all that money, like you don't need to do anything, but it's
relax. Yeah.
Obviously, like we'd just be like, oh, just chill. Like you've got a stupid amount of money. You set your family up for generations, but in reality, he's obviously got to do something. So you can't just be
Start
retired.
A charity. Read a book.
I know. It's a bit more difficult like that in the real world, isn't it? Yeah. So,
well, we have to keep an eye. Maybe the more, safety is obviously an ever growing concern in every single sport, and so maybe if there's more concussions and they're more televised, that those caps won't become a talking point in the sense of like leagues will enforce them because of
I feel like they might get to that point because the Guardian helmets, like I said to you before, the reason why this isn't like that. I know this is the reason that they're not doing it, but I assume the reason they don't like it is because fans don't like the way it looks, and the helmet is such a symbol of the NFL.
They look a bit like bobbleheads when they wear.
It's like they can make them look better, obviously, but the helmet has the logo. It's like it's a symbol of the sport, and it's like so iconic for the sport that they don't want to take that away from it. So, and obviously it does make them, like you said, look a bit bobble-headed and stuff like that. So
the thing that will do it, and I think, especially because like you say, it's affecting a big part of the culture of the sport, is when the F1 introduced the halo, it got a bit of like we're killing the look of the F1 car. But then after the aftermath of like big crashes, there are like clear examples of where people would have just no chance of survival.
You remember when Verstappen
was on top of
literally, if that halo wasn't there, Hamilton would have died.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like lots of cases of that, and so because people are using those caps, I think there'll be a hit. Like someone will take one of those dangerous hits, like an illegal foul. Someone will be wearing it, and it will become like a very clear instance where like you can see it in at work, and people will have like it'll be irrefutable evidence that it's necessary, or someone will that person will play again. They'll get hit in the head and they won't get up, and that's it's one of the two.
There's obviously with this kind of sport anyway, there's going to be stuff like that where there's like it's bad as well because the player who he hit was a player who last year collapsed on the pitch. I think he had like a cardiac arrest or something along those lines. And he had like a whole year. It wasn't. I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before, but he had like a whole year out basically, and he's only come back recently. And it's a lot of people have been memes about it, but it's quite rough that it's him.
He was once there, and no.
Obviously, it's not him that's causing it, but he was the one attacking him.
He did ram his body into him. I think as a
I know, but you know what I mean. Like it's not
everyone knows the risk.
Attacking him, so it's like everyone's like being like, oh, he's the one. He's the one who's caused this, but it's not obviously because of him. But it's just quite ironic that it's that player was out for that long because of this bad cardiac arrest or however it was, and then obviously this comes full circle, and it's just a bad look in general for the whole NFL.
Yeah.